My sister-in-law isolated my brother, and I'm finally done trying.
Sometimes that's what happens.
Hi, I love listening to your stories, and this comes directly from the r/okstorytime subreddit. You guys help me so much with my mental health. Keep it up. Some of the stories make me feel like my life is pretty normal after all. LOL. I'm 33 female with only one brother, 31 male. We grew up really close, only being 18 months apart. We literally did everything together. As we matured, we distanced ourselves, but I think we always viewed each other as our confidants or most trusted other human when times got tough. By the way, this comes from Courageous Ram 497, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dakota.
And I'm Keon.
And OP says, our parents' relationship was and still is one of the most toxic ones I've ever seen in my life. So learning what a healthy relationship is was a struggle for me and clearly him. He met his now wife, 30 female, about 8 years ago. They have been through some lows and highs in their relationship, but I've seen this woman literally fly every red flag in the book, short of unaliving someone. Despite knowing this and literally warning him about it, I stood up for him at their wedding as he requested. Here are some massive red flags I've witnessed over the years. She had a drinking problem early in the relationship, talks about every single person she interacts with behind their backs, extremely controlling behaviors, especially with my brother, treats dogs like garbage, pushed kids on my brother when he wasn't ready and they weren't even married yet, accused my mother of being incestuous with my brother because she and my bro had a close relationship and she helped him start up his extremely successful business. That's crazy. She has made inappropriate and possessive comments to him, saying things like, "You belong to me and only me." I was out to lunch with him once and she texted him asking, "What's taking so long? Are you flirting with the waitress?" She listens to all of his phone calls. He is not allowed to go anywhere for very long without her company. My brother told me she has been caught emotionally cheating, schmexting other dudes at least twice that I know of. Well, at least we know that all of her behavior is her projecting. Wild.
Yeah, big facts.
I could keep going, but these are just some massive red flags. To be clear, I literally told my bro that these are super toxic behaviors. He's young. I wouldn't choose to marry her if it were me, but he did it anyway out of fear of being alone. I always try to get along with sister-in-law despite her red flags, as I didn't want to give her any reasons to cut contact with me. For the most part, we got along, even though I disagreed with her behaviors a lot of the time. Slowly, she has been distancing me and him, and actually him from my entire side of the family. I believe she is isolating him for more control. When I found out they were pregnant less than a year after they got married, I grieved so hard because I knew I would never see this kid, and it was a lifetime of commitment for my brother to this woman. I was absolutely terrified for him. As predicted, this was the case. I've only seen their kid maybe 3 times, and he'll be 2 in December. Most times have been at funerals or Christmas or birthdays. I never get invited to their house. My partner and I bought a new house last year, and I've invited, bless you, and I've invited my brother over to see it, but he hasn't come. It's been almost a year and a half. Below is the story of the last straw for me and this woman. I am at my absolute wit's end with her. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid if I just let it go, I'll lose my brother and never have any kind of relationship with his kids. On the other hand, I can't stand her, and I don't want to subject myself to her chaos. I want to protect my peace. I'm 11 weeks pregnant as I write this, and I don't want my kids being exposed to toxic relationships like I was. I want them to know from a young age what is healthy and what is not. I literally have one sibling, so this is terrible. My husband and I decided that we would host a simple Christmas to show our families what work we had accomplished on the house in 6 months. We literally busted our butts preparing for this occasion with new flooring on the main level, painting, etc. It was a ton of work. We are hard workers, though, and we're super proud of our progress. Since I knew my sister-in-law was pregnant with her second, I informed them back in October that we would be hosting a Christmas potluck dinner, games, gift exchange, and she could pick the time to do it as they live 2 hours away and they have a little one. She wanted it at 1:30 p.m. Kind of weird for a dinner time, but if that meant my bro could come and I could see their kids, sure. So be it. We made the plan. They committed. Fast forward to a week before Christmas, my bro calls me out of the blue. He asks if they can just stop in for the gift exchange and leave before dinner. I can hear sister-in-law talking over him in the background and telling him what to say, though he didn't mention that she was on this call. I say, can we move the time to accommodate you better since we're all prepared to bring enough food for everyone? I also say that I never get to see them, so it might be nice to spend some time with them. Sister-in-law starts listing a bunch of excuses about how kids have a certain bedtime, it's far to drive, blah, blah, blah. I can hear sister-in-law say, fine, let's just go and get it over with. This is what she says after I try to accommodate you guys. That's it. I was pissed. I said, sister-in-law, if you don't want to come, why don't you just say it to my face instead of making a bunch of excuses? I also said it's really weird that she's telling my brother what to say when this conversation was supposed to be him and I. All she could say was, you're really weird, like a 4-year-old child. They never showed up for dinner or anything. It was extremely awkward as we all had purchased gifts for everyone, but they weren't there to do the exchange. To add insult to injury, we all spent $250 on one gift for one person at the gift exchange. Everyone received a gift eventually worth approximately this much, except me. I was sent an Amazon package with $20 worth of pajamas in it. Nice. My brother had drawn my name, by the way. Your brother? That sucks. I thought maybe it was her and she just kind of gave you a terrible gift.
It
But
probably
your
was
brother?
her, though.
Well, yeah, she probably did it.
Because this is like a convo with your brother where you she's so unbelievably toxic.
Yeah.
Towards me.
It seems like OP has tried that.
And for that reason, I don't really see myself having a relationship with either of y'all.
Yeah.
Because she seems to be
invading every part of our relationship.
She's sort of managing your whole life and hates me.
Yeah.
So if you're okay with that, then I guess that I have to make my peace with it.
Double insult to injury. Sister-in-law drove all the way to my town on Boxing Day with her mother. They stayed way past 1:30 p.m. in town. WTF. Confirmed for me that she just didn't want to come to our home. Then sister-in-law had the audacity to invite me to their kid's birthday at their place on December 29th. If I say no, then I'm the bad guy, so my husband convinced me to go. I honestly was grieving my bros and my relationship so bad that I could hardly keep it together when we were there. I was so sad and hurt. Plus, I felt unwelcome the entire time we were there. It was awful. The kid only turned 1, so it's not like he could remember anything anyway. So now, approaching almost a year later, I feel like my brother won't stand up to her so we can maintain a relationship. So I'm just left feeling completely isolated from my bro. I can't talk to my brother about it because he just denies that there's a problem. He's so overwhelmed with work obligations and childcare obligations that he's not prioritizing any relationship with me. I don't know what to do. I've been no contact with sister-in-law after this episode, but I know it will just push us away even more. Any advice? And there are some comments, folks. But do you have any comments?
Yeah, no, I already said it.
Yeah.
You can't really.
I agree.
There's not,
I think you've
not much you can
tried
do.
literally everything in your power to convince your brother that she's a problem. And then you've tried everything in your power to be kind and not cause problems and just kind of go with the flow with these people, and still she's causing issues. So yeah, there's really not much that you can do on your end. Common One says, sounds like you already tried hard to stay connected and patient with both your brother and sister-in-law, but you're hitting a wall where protecting your own peace, especially now that you're expecting, might need to come first. At this point, the best thing you can do is focus on maintaining a door open for your brother without draining yourself on his wife's behavior. I think that a short, kind message for him directly, not her, can keep a line of communication alive without you chasing or overextending. If your brother continues to deny there is a problem, would you be open to building a relationship just with your nieces and nephews over time, even if it means keeping things very minimal with your sister-in-law? And that is the end of that story. I feel like the problem with the building relationship with nieces and nephews is, I don't know if the sister-in-law would allow that, you know?
Yeah.
I think she would try and, I mean, if she's already getting involved with private calls between you and your brother, I don't know how much she would allow you to have contact with your
It's just sort of like
niece and nephew.
you married my number one op, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what's that all about?
What's that all
Why
about?
are we doing that?
You'd be my number one op if you didn't listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime, where you're my op. But folks, that's the end of that story.
My husband said I'll ruin Christmas because I refused to see his aunt.
You've ruined Christmas.
My husband's aunt hates me. When I was 18, I had schizophrenia and was going through a particularly difficult time mentally. I started slipping into a dissociative state that lasted until June. I didn't check myself into a mental hospital because my ability to communicate was starting to decline, and it became husband's decision, as I was not in my body, sometimes catatonic, and when I spoke, it was full of word salad. By the way, this comes from user Gothic Misunderstood. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit, where we got this story. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Keon.
And OP says, I was still pushed to go see his family on Christmas Eve. I didn't want to be anywhere but in my bed, and I coped the only way I knew how. I had never dealt with something so devastating. I bought a bottle of whiskey and a 2-liter of Coca-Cola and drank a big cup and a half of each. I was wasted.
Oh.
I went directly to bed as we were spending the night at his aunt's and went to sleep. Dear husband's aunt was livid. Husband explained that in our state, it's legal to give your underage spouse booze. Wait, what? Husband explained that in our state, it's legal to give your underage spouse booze if you are an of-age spouse and buy it for them in a private setting. After this, I slipped into dissociation. I barely remember anything within those 6 months. I came back to reality in June and got pregnant in September. I gave birth to a baby girl the day after Mother's Day. Husband's aunt showed up unannounced to come see the baby, and I was so embarrassed. I hadn't showered in days. I was leaking through my shirt, and I was pretty sure I had spit up on my clothes and hair. She never spoke to me, never asked me if I was doing okay, or even congratulated me. I nearly passed away having the baby. I suffered from hyperemesis gravidarum, which caused me to need a full mouth extraction and get dentures.
Whoa. That's really tough.
Very,
After having the kid?
Yeah, very extreme. I had PUPPS or PUPPs. I was hypotensive and hypoglycemic, very anemic, malnourished, and vitamin deficient. I dislocated my leg from my hip during labor. My safe food was apples. Apparently, eating only apples every day can land you in the doctor's office. I decided this baby would be the only baby I ever had and had my tubes tied, as my doctor told me I would probably not make it if I went through it again.
Absolutely. If anyone went through that experience, that would, you would never want to go through that again.
Yeah, agreed. Over time, I have tried to build a connection to his aunt. I try speaking to her about my daughter's achievements, top 3% in her grade in the state, according to state testing. A guaranteed spot in the choir, exempt from auditions. Oh, that's congratulations. She's gifted and talented, almost got into Mensa. She brushed it off and said, that's what she's supposed to do. How to deal with someone who's just a spoil sport lame-o.
Yeah.
Who doesn't say anything positive.
Who's always negative and always have to say, oh, that sucks. Debbie Downer.
Silly baby. Your aunt, your husband's aunt, silly baby. She says, well, that's what she's supposed to do. Silly baby. Silly baby doesn't know how to say congratulations. Silly baby hasn't learned how to say that yet.
Aw, it's okay.
And then it's like, oh my God, are we going to let the thoughts and opinions and words of a silly baby dictate the way we feel?
No, because that baby's so silly.
That'd be crazy.
I wouldn't let a baby tell me how to do my taxes. It's a baby.
Aunt will complain about her knee pain. I have peripheral neuropathy and trigeminal neuralgia on top of hypermobility. I often have trouble walking because of my knees and carry knee and ankle braces with me everywhere. I sometimes use a cane. So I try to join the conversation because, hey, I can relate. She gives me a disgusted look on her face and says, okay, or I'm met with passive-aggressive silence. It's kind of spread to the rest of the family. I will try to join conversations and will get deer-in-headlight stares the moment I speak. Then comes a dismissive, okay, and they change the conversation. I have become very self-conscious of my speech pattern around them. Since I have schizophrenia, I suffer from disorganized thoughts, which is reflected in my speech. I have tried for the past 9 years every year to connect. Every gathering, I become more and more focused on the words in the sentences I string together and their placement, all in an effort to try to successfully wear the disguise of a neurotypical woman. The effort is futile. Dear husband's aunt still refuses to speak to me. Husband and adoptive mother-in-law have repeatedly told his aunt that she needs to speak to me or she won't be seeing her, or else we won't be seeing her anymore, and convinced me to come to her house for Christmas Eve. I started driving my own car in case I wanted to leave, so I caved and I went. Last year, she spoke about me, not to me though. I recently discovered that I have a talent for sewing. The Christmas after I started sewing, in March, I designed and created a beautiful Christmas dress for my daughter. Light blue, sparkly tulle, triple circle skirt over a double circle skirt of white satin with a top of blue snowflakes on a white background printed on minky fabric and a rhinestone trim all around the waist with small rhinestone snowflakes hand sewn on the top.
That's gorgeous.
It was my masterpiece.
It sounds like it.
Sounds like a delightful
Sounds like everyone's going to be
winter
happy.
garb.
And they're going to say, oh, that's beautiful. And everything's perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
Husband's aunt looked at my daughter, and my daughter did a spin and said, my mama made this all by herself by hand. And husband's aunt says to adoptive mother-in-law, I didn't know OP could sew. And adopted mother-in-law said, neither did we. While other family members gathered around me asking questions, husband's aunt had walked away and didn't acknowledge my existence again. I was upset, but I knew it would take time.
You know what? I actually thought she kind of did give you a compliment there.
Yeah.
She said, I didn't know you could sew. She could have been like, oh, that rag, you got a little burlap sack on. Anyone could make that.
Right. She didn't
She
go
said,
like,
I didn't know OP could sew.
Yeah. Then I had my daughter's birthday at my home. I was forced to invite husband's aunt out of courtesy. I sent invitations in early April. I made the invites myself with Photoshop, cardstock, and paint. I used teal envelopes with gold trim on them, so it wasn't easily mistaken for a bill or something. I'd asked to RSVP by a specific date in late April. The Friday before her party, which was on a Sunday, husband's aunt calls adoptive mother-in-law to RSVP. It felt disrespectful. Husband's aunt said she didn't open it until then. But whatever, stuff happens. The night before the party, I pushed my body to its limits trying to clean and make the house presentable. Several people were coming, and since my daughter was born after Mother's Day, her birthday sometimes falls on or near Mother's Day, so she has never had many people come to her party due to that. I was cleaning from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. That is too long for anyone to be cleaning.
Stop.
My body was screaming. The next morning, my body felt like it was made of cement. I could hardly move, but it was 5:30 in the morning, and me and my husband got up and put up the tent outside, decorated, got the cake, set up tables and chairs, and picked up several pizzas. I sat down at one of the tables, my body screaming at me not to move, and that I was stuck there now. Husband's aunt arrives. She acknowledges and briefly speaks with husband. She sits and chats with adoptive mother-in-law. Not a glance to me, not a wave, not a hello. And by the way, you can always say hello to full episodes on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Go search OK Storytime and you can listen to the entire archive of episodes we have available to you. We have a little bit more story left here. Honestly, I'm sticking to my 6-shooter here.
Yeah.
You gotta just accept that the aunt is not going to change her ways.
She's just
and
stinky.
that it doesn't have anything to do with you.
Yeah, some people are just like annoying, and you have to be like, I don't even care about your opinion because I have so many other people around me that love me, and are nice and supportive.
Yeah.
And we just stick with being friends with those people.
Husband contacted aunt and told her that it wasn't right what she did. She said it was her job as the host to talk to me if she wanted to talk to me. Husband tried to explain I was in a lot of pain and could barely walk for 3 days. She scoffed and said, well, what happened happened. Can't change it now. Husband tried to tell her OP will probably start refusing to go to family gatherings, which in turn will cause daughter not to want to come because she loves her mama, and I will not go out of support for my wife. But now he's saying I will be ruining Christmas if I don't come. I don't want to spend 2 to 3 days in a house where no one speaks to me. It is not fun. I also want to add I haven't drank a drop of booze since that first Christmas. It was the only thing 18-year-old me knew how to cope with, something like that. I've apologized repeatedly, and husband's aunt says, oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I really don't want to go. Any advice, please?
I'm going to talk to your husband and get on the same page because he clearly doesn't understand that you're being iced out by this, bunch of people.
Yeah, if it's like the whole family is not talking to you, maybe approach that as a team.
Yeah, and say, hey, your entire family's not talking to me.
Yeah, and you've got difficulties with, schizophrenia and stuff, and it's like, your husband and y'all, you can move as a unit, and he can be your conversational wingman.
Yes.
Keeping you supported.
Exactly.
I would attempt that.
But involving you in
and
conversations.
Forget the aunt. I feel like if you now forgo all of these things because the aunt is so, annoying and rude. But let's get into these comments to finish the story off. Comment 1, ask your husband if he would want to go to a place for 3 days where no one would talk to him or acknowledge his presence. If he wanted to be an outsider watching everyone around him talking and laughing and having a good time, and he was the orphan in the corner not allowed to join. This is the consequences of aunt's behavior. He told her the result of her behavior, and now it's time to follow through. How old is your daughter? A united front in this will drive the point home to your husband. I'm mad at him already because he should have never allowed the aunt to treat you like this from the beginning. When you lost the first baby, you should have been at home in bed, not taken to Christmas celebrations like everything was okay. You're not in the wrong here, OP. This aunt, however, is your husband, and your husband is also. He needs to stand firm and protect you. OP says, our daughter is 7 years old. She's hyper aware of what's going on around her. She sadly knows what's going on, and I didn't want to drag her into the issue. My family says aunt shouldn't be given access to my daughter if she can't respect me enough to say hello, but some members of husband's family say it's selfish to deny aunt from seeing my daughter. Comment 2 says it's time to start letting his aunt know that she won't be allowed around your daughter if she can't show you decent respect. But she's been doing this for like a decade now, so I don't see how you or your husband have allowed it for this long. And your husband acting like he's standing up for you, then flipping it around is another thing that needs to be discussed. It sounds like he hasn't done much defending, and when he did do it, he flipped it back on you. It's his aunt, and he should have been the first to shut this down, and he hasn't, so now it's your turn to take action. And that is the end of that story.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like your husband's doing a lot to defend you.
I agree.
If he's telling you, you have to go, you're ruining Christmas because you're not going when...
It's like, no, clearly...
You've told him the reasons why.
If anyone's ruining Christmas, it's the aunt.
Yeah. She's the Grinch.
She's a real Scrooge.
She hasn't gone through any emotional changes.
It's true.
Heart's the same size.
I refused to have my father-in-law babysit for me because he's careless.
Hire a 12-year-old instead.
I don't know if I'm just being overprotective because I'm a first-time mom with hormones running wild, but I'm really struggling with this situation. My father-in-law has offered to look after my baby 1 day a week when I return to work. He's in his 60s, single, and overall a good person from what I've seen. The problem is he's simply not good with the baby. He tries, and I believe his heart is in the right place, but he constantly does things that are careless, unsafe, and frankly dangerous. By the way, this comes from user FewDepartment8552, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKstorytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Riley.
And I'm Keon.
And OP says, my baby is 6 months old now, and I'm not going back to work until she's 1. In theory, that gives him time to get better, but I feel so anxious whenever he's around her. I don't trust him. My husband thinks we should keep trying, maybe train him with a written set of rules, but to me, this isn't about rules. It's about common sense, and you can't teach that. Okay, here's some examples of no common sense. He tried to leave her alone in a hot car while he runs an errand. Okay, automatically, no more. Sorry. He never puts the brake on her pram and wanders away, leaving it unsecured. He let a neighbor, a stranger to me, hold her without our consent, without checking basic hygiene, and despite our clear rules about no kissing before she was even fully vaccinated. He put her in her seat on the lawn and then ran a trimmer right next to her. She was panicking and hyperventilating while flying debris could have seriously hurt her, and he didn't even notice. He's using power tools around the baby. He's doing lawn maintenance.
They gotta learn someday.
Yeah, I think all of these are so far very reasonable. Whenever we're out, he takes the pram and wanders off. I'll hear him screaming in the distance and find him just awkwardly rocking the pram, and by then, she's distraught. She's usually a calm baby, so for her to get like that means she's been crying a while without him calling us. He told me I should let her cry it out, even though we've made clear we don't want to parent that way. I'm concerned about how he might handle disciplinary situations since we have very different parenting philosophies from his generation. All of this happened while I was nearby to step in, presumably if this is him on his best behavior. I dread to think what he'd do if I wasn't around. And honestly, how would I focus at work knowing he was in charge? I even started writing a manual for him, but it feels ridiculous. What am I supposed to include? Don't run power tools next to my baby's head? Don't leave the baby in a hot car? I can't possibly anticipate every dangerous lapse in judgment. I asked my husband if he would trust anyone else who acted like this with our child, and he admitted no. But he still insists we should give his dad a chance. He says if I'm uncomfortable, we won't do it. But at the same time, father-in-law keeps asking when he can buy a changing table for his house, and I feel like we're stringing him along when I already know it's a hard no from me.
Well, then tell your husband, I'm not comfortable with it, and give him the hard truth. I don't know. Sometimes beating around the bush to save other people's feelings is something you got to do. In this case, for your child's safety, I don't really think you should beat around the bush.
Yeah. I'd happily pay out of pocket for an extra day of nursery if that's the issue. What hurts is that it feels like my husband wants this more for his dad's happiness than for our baby's safety. I don't understand how sparing his dad's feelings comes before keeping our daughter safe. I've been stressed about it for months, and I'll be stressed about it until it's resolved. Rather than telling his dad we changed our minds, he lets me panic and cry and stress for a year. Time I never get back. Time I want to spend with my baby being happy. So am I being unreasonable for refusing to let my father-in-law babysit at all? He's genuinely excited about the idea, and I know saying no will crush him, but I just don't believe you can train someone into having common sense, and I cannot risk my baby's safety for the sake of not hurting his feelings. We have an update. Just talk to them. Sit down and talk. Explain why.
Yeah.
And if he's like, I can change and be better, you're going to be like, you're going to have to prove it.
Yeah. You're not cutting the father-in-law out of the family or seeing your daughter. You're around, you see the kid, you're not cut him out completely.
I sent my husband this text. I don't want to give your dad a chance. Things he does go against common sense, and we can't teach him common sense. And if there's even a chance he will do some stupid crap to endanger her, that's not a risk I'm willing to take just because he's excited and his heart is in the right place. His head isn't. I will spend every moment she's with him terrified, and I have already spent months stressing about this. I made up my mind. It's a no. If you don't want to tell him, I will. I can be the bad guy if that's what it's about. I can pay for the extra nursery myself if that's what it's about. I'm not risking her well-being and my peace of mind over this. We spoke after. He is upset and says he disagrees with me. He says maybe he didn't know it was that bad to leave a baby in a car. We just have to tell him and he will learn. I tried to explain that we can't do that for every scenario. He said if we do this, it will be no going back, that it will cause issues we cannot mend, and that it will break trust, and that it's about respect.
All right, let's do a pros and cons list. What are the cons? What are the pros?
Hey,
and I can tell you one pro that will conquer all those cons.
What?
my child's safety.
Safety.
Right.
Yeah, it's the baby safety.
I feel really alone right now. I will pass away on this hill alone if I have to, because I'd rather it be me than her. But I don't know what to do or what this will do to my relationship with my husband or father-in-law. My husband told me all along that if I wasn't comfortable, we wouldn't do it, and he would back me up, but now he seems so angry with me. Like he says it's my choice, but when I choose different than he wanted, he is angry. Update 2. Yeah, your husband is being a big baby. Goo goo gaga, I'm afraid that my daddy's going to be mad that I don't want him using power tools around the child.
You got 3 babies to take care of right now.
Oh my gosh. Poor woman.
Update number 2. My husband is still a bit upset that I don't want to give it a chance and try to train his 60-year-old father, but he has agreed and says he will support my decision. We will try to break it to father-in-law without hurting his feelings. Any ideas on how to word that? I liked what some of you said about framing it as being a matter of her having routines at the nursery and my wanting to spend more time with her myself. I feel a massive weight lifted from my shoulders, not having this looming over me. Thank you to everyone who commented and helped me be more assertive about this, as it's something I usually struggle with. I mean, I already said what I would say. You guys have any? I don't think you should, lie. I think you should just be honest.
Be honest, the routine thing could help. But you could also say you don't leave a kid in the car. I'd get mad. I'd get Mama Bear. Mama Bear up.
Update 3. I feel like I need to defend my husband and father-in-law a bit. Some of you seem to go at them quite harshly, and I don't think that's fair. My husband is an amazing father and partner, and I couldn't ask for anyone better. Yes, father-in-law did stupid things, but I know it wasn't malicious in any way. He's the nicest person you can think of. He couldn't do enough for you, and he loves his granddaughter fiercely. And that's what makes this so hard, because we wanted this to work so badly. We agreed on this arrangement before the baby was ever born because we trust father-in-law so much, and we knew he would be good to her. But we couldn't predict that he would be just plain bad at babies. It's his first grandchild, and his own kids are all over 30. So it's been a while for him having to look after a baby. And even then, he had help. He is now on his own. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I really do believe he just didn't understand it was a bad thing leaving a baby in a car. And that is what scares me. We can tell him not to do dangerous things, but if he can't work out what is a dangerous thing, then that's not really helpful. We don't want to hurt his feelings, and we don't want to fall out. So, yeah, I can just imagine this being even later on the road, it's maybe the kid is 3. And it's yeah, I just took him to the skate park, gave him a helmet. They were riding their scooter, and it's I get it. But it's that's not a situation where a man in his 60s can actively and properly look after the kid at the skate park. It's stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's there becomes a level where it's if you can't be actively, constantly making sure they're, doing stuff right or safe,
Yeah.
it might just be well, I thought it'd be fun. It's all the neighborhood, whatever.
Yeah.
We don't want to hurt his feelings, and we don't want to fall out. I have left a request with work to ask if I can go back part-time. That way we can at least say it's because I want to spend more time with the baby when she's little, and that we don't want to confuse her routine. So it will be just me and the nursery for now. If I don't get the time off, it will be harder to explain why we decided to pay for another day of nursery rather than leave her with him. He is so excited about it, it's breaking my heart having to tell him, no, but I don't have a choice. I think that's the difference. My husband thinks it's a choice I'm making, but for me, it's not. I couldn't leave her with him. It's not a choice I could make. If something happened to her, I would never be able to live with myself knowing I knew better and ignored all my instincts, screaming at me for the sake of not hurting someone's feelings. It'll never hurt our feelings if you go listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime on your favorite podcast app, and you can listen to over 71 days worth of stories.
Yep. And it will hurt our feelings if you don't.
A little bit. A little bit.
OP, you're waking up. You're seeing what needs to happen. I will say it's easier reading a Reddit story, not knowing what these people are, and having interactions with them daily to make these decisions because we're on the very other side of it.
Yeah.
But if we're in the midst of it, feelings are complicated. And I lose sight of that a lot when we read these stories because I get a Reddit story that happens in my life. I'm dude, if I was on the podcast, I would totally say this and say something like this. But since they're a family member of mine or a friend of mine, I'm just gonna act like it's not happening.
Yeah, there is always a level of looking the
Uh,
other way at stuff.
So
But,
I get that side. But if I was a mom, this is the thing though. If I was a mom, my mama bear, ooh, you did what to my child? You left my child where? You plugged what into an outlet and made it run near my child? I don't know. Mama bear instincts.
And furthermore, it's not just the safety risk. Even if we could somehow fix that, he's just not good with her. He can't read her at all. He didn't see she was scared when he was running the trimmer next to her, and she was hyperventilating and panicked because she wasn't crying yet. And I guess to him, she was fine because she wasn't crying. And there have been times she's been so tired she can barely keep her eyes open, and he keeps messing with her, playing with high energy and tickling. She is getting more and more upset because she's tired and wants to sleep, and he just stomps around and waves toys at her. So she cries. And then he thinks he needs to be even more entertaining because she is now upset, so he just escalates the play. It's not fair on her. She can't communicate in a way he understands, and so she just has to put up with it until someone steps in and stops it. And if we aren't there, we can't help her. It's like, dude, you can't read the baby. I'm sorry, father-in-law, you don't speak baby.
Yeah.
So you can't watch baby because you don't speak baby.
You can speak baby, by the way. You can learn when baby needs poop, and you can
Baby wants
take
food.
it to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to learn how to speak baby. You don't know how to speak baby.